All right, we're live, folks. What's up, everybody? It's your boy MM2K. I'm here with Cold Blood. Sorry about that. For those of you, and shout out to Real Vision, aka Old Man Gaming Guru. Thank you for hitting me up on YouTube, bro. I am so sorry. I thought I sent out the notification that we were going live. You know, we were pushing the live show back 30 minutes and I didn't do that. So that's my bad. So for those of you that were waiting, I deeply apologize. But we decided to have the member show, and I'm glad we did it because we got into a great discussion that we're going to bring forth over here to as people roll in. We had a great discussion about PlayStation games, the future. Juice and others were, and Andrew Wilkins, shout out to those guys. They were doing their thing in the chat. Cold Blood went through one of his epic Cold Blood rants, so definitely check it out if you missed it. Yeah, today we're going to talk in the main part of the podcast. We're going to talk about Indiana Jones Metacritic predictions. Cold Blood now is going to try to do that. And then the former PlayStation executive Shawn Layden did an interview, which is kind of crazy, right? Almost cursed. I gotta wait 5 minutes before I start cursing. The mofo that is no longer at PlayStation is the one actually sitting down with people, right? Like that's crazy to me. Like, where are the PlayStation people? But before we get into that, I want to shout out the chat. Hold on. Just trying to send this. Is it not? Uh-oh. What the hell? Oh, I got too many tabs open. That's why. Shout out to everybody in the chat. And yeah, Royal Vision, check that out, bro. Because you remember, we didn't see you. Or I don't know, you probably were watching, but we didn't see you in the chat. I'm going to read some of these comments from the live stream and we'll finish them off over there. And again, if you become a member, there's a couple things going on. Number one, opportunities like this will present itself where I will read your comments from the member stream, in the pre-show member stream, in the live stream. So you guarantee that. And also for every 5 members that we get, I'm going to gift one. We're going to do that for the month of December. I'm going to gift one for every 5. All right, so let's do this. How come I cannot find all the tags? Cold Blood, what's going on, brother?
All good, bro.
You excited for that PlayStation showcase coming, right around the corner, ain't it?
I mean, if you talk about the Game Awards, sure. I mean, that's the only showcase you're probably gonna get until the end of the year.
Oh God, yeah. Interesting stuff. Okay, PS5 Pro. Okay, we got everything that we need. All right, so now we can tweet this out. Hit that like button, y'all, as y'all come in. Let's get to 10 likes too, so we can get the shows. We can get the show started. Post that. Put this here in the chat. Let me put that there in the Discord. Let me go to YouTube and let me create a post. More like so. All right, bitch. Let me edit preview so it shows that. Now we're gonna. Okay, we're good. All right. So now we are live. We've posted everywhere. Everybody knows that we're live. Let me close some of these tabs out. So let's go. I want to do one more thing. I want to make sure that I have you guys' comments connected to our comments picker. So I have to go here. Come on, comment picker. Gotta go here. This here. And then I'm going to read off these chats because, like I said, that was a fucking hell of 5 minutes yet. Oh, whew, I made it to nick of time. It was a freaking hell of a discussion that we had over there on the member stream. Definitely want to check it out. All right, so let me go over the first comment. So Juice had said while we were talking about PlayStation 5, the lack of shows and the need to show stuff. What you're looking at on the screen, y'all, is you're looking at Bluebird Team's latest game, Chronos, right? You're seeing like the cinematic trailer that ends off with a small, like 10-second vertical slice of the game as they have it built to this point. What does that got to do with what we were discussing about in the member stream? I'll get to that. But what we were talking about was we really need, like, there's no showcase. Like, we're really like left in the dark about what PlayStation is dropping. They did, if it wasn't for the leaks, we wouldn't know about anything but Ghost of Your Time. And Cold Blood had mentioned that, you know, this standard of, I don't want to know anything, just tell us 24 hours before you release it, right? Like, that's not a good standard to have. I even added to that, like, for my own personal arguments, I said that holding Sony to a standard of a showcase was needed, especially after E3 died, because that's what held them, you know, their feet to the fire to routinely show stuff. And I commented, this is the way that it's worked for 30 years or longer than 30 years. What am I talking about? You sell your hardware based off of the catalog that's attached to that hardware. And if that catalog is enticing, then it keeps people on that hardware. You keep people engaged by continuously showing them shit that you're working on. And I think people didn't want that anymore because PlayStation had a couple of showcases. I think there was one with the Last of Us 2 where Shawn Layden had, they set up the wedding, what's it called or whatever. And it was kind of a little awkward. And then there was the one with Ghost of Tsushima with the flute guy that, you know, was a little awkward too. People were making fun of that. And so then after that, Sony was like, we're pulling out, but they were pulling out for money reasons. They're like, we got to pay $8 million just to set up a booth here for a weekend. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, Jim Ryan comes in, he's cutting back fanfare. He's like, look, we're just going to do state of plays and showcases. And, you know, it was okay at first. I always was antsy that gamers were not holding PlayStation showing stuff to a standard. And if you leave it up to a company to not, you know, regularly show you stuff, then you're not going to like what you see on the other end of it. So you fast forward a few years now, and just like I predicted this, said you guys are now not being shown anything. And when I say you guys, that's me included. And so we were talking about that. Juice says, hey, look, I remember the night that they teased the Night of the Old Republic. Where's that? I'm done with teasers. Show me a trailer of a game, almost done, and it will be released in 6 months. And that's where I had said, you know, I get it. I get that sentiment if we didn't have 2023 and 2024. Particularly 2024. Where you had multiple duds released that year in Lego Horizon and Concord. One you had to remove from the player roles altogether. And then we didn't get our typical AAA banger during the holiday season. And we didn't know what to expect. And I think the biggest reason why we can't even trust them to do that, just show us stuff 6 months out, is Concord. Concord is a perfect example of that. Why? Because tell me, and I want to see empirical proof. Because if you say, well, I knew it, you're lying. Tell me that before they showed you Concord, you thought it was a 5v5 hero shooter. Like before you saw or got any inkling of what Concord was, based off the trailer, the fact that it's on a spaceship and all the other stuff, based off of it and the fact that PlayStation was so quick to buy Firewalk, tell me that you believe that they put all these hopes into a 5v5 hero shooter. You didn't know that. But you had no idea what was coming out. You didn't find out what the hell the game was until a couple of months before it released. So that's that stand. Don't show me anything until 6. No, they cannot be trusted with that standard. That's like leaving your car keys at home and saying to your teenager, all right, now, I'm going over Nana's house for a while. Somebody's picking me up. We're going to go over Nana's for several hours. Do not drive this car. Here, I'm leaving the keys right here. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-ding-a-ling-ling-ling. Do not touch these keys and do not drive the car to go to the store or go anywhere. I'll be back in 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? You know, as soon as you go through that motherfucking door, that kid is jumping in that car, driving to the mall backwards, driving on the hood, doing all types of shit. You can't trust them like that. You got to set standards. And I'm telling you, when it comes to these Fortune 500 companies, you are not the main prize. The investors are. So the less they have to do to show their investors, hey, look, invest your dollars with us, you'll get a great rate of return because people just buy up our shit. The less they have to do in order to show the investors that, the more in trouble you are as a consumer. So do not do that. Hold them to a standard. I get it why E3 is gone. Great article released on, what do you call that? It was a fantastic article released on GameIndustry.biz where they interviewed like a shitload of people, including Shawn Layden and Peter Moore. And they explained why E3 just wasn't as sustainable. So I get that. But that's why I get on Jeff Keighley's case, because his Summer Game Fest or opening night live, that's bullshit. That it's not a feasible substitute for E3, which pinned these platforms on the stage and made them compete and to say, look, if you're saving up money this holiday season to buy some gaming shit, you need to buy ours. Here's why. That's what we need. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same format as E3, but we need something, even if it's a con, you know, like how there's BlizzCon and, you know, whatever. Even if PlayStation, like how they used to do Paris Game Show. Remember that? Or, you know, Paris Game Show. Well, out of Paris, every year they would go and, you know, show games. And they weren't showing games against anybody that same night, but there was pressure because it was an industry standard that, oh, you got to showcase games, like showcase them. And you got to do it in front of fans. And fans have to play this vertical slide. I'm not even saying that last part. I mean, the last part holds them to a standard even more. There's a reason why you guys were showing more games. I'm not even saying they got to do that. I just think that you got to hold them to some type of standard where there's a showcase, or you're going to see less and less and less, and you're going to get more Concords. Because if any of you sit here and try to tell me, oh, I knew that Concord was going to be a 5v5 hero shooter, and you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Shout out to homie Andrew Wilkins. I thought he had a comment. No, he just said, yo. Michael Moradian said, Return on Anyone. He said that was a mistake not putting Dreams on PlayStation. Yep. So if you want to see the full discussion, y'all, definitely go hit that join button, become a member for the month of December. For every 5 members that we get, I'm gifting a member. You know, and I'm just waiting for the new YouTube tools where they allow me to set up goals actually in the actual stream, because it was easier for you guys to see these goals and stuff like that when we were part of Streamlabs OBS, but we can't be part of them anymore. They were ripping us off. They were taking money away that could go in the kitty for more games. You know what I mean? So, all right. So I wanted to show that. Let's go back to our video. Let me change the video too. Let me change the video to this. There we go. All right. Show some good old Xbox, right? What is it? Is this the original Avowed? Oh, no. I thought that was the original Avowed video. That's Elder Scrolls. All right, so minus. All right, so I want to do this. I want to go and pull up. Well, let's talk about. You guys want to talk about Indiana Jones first? Let's talk about Indiana Jones. Cold Blood. Indiana Jones previews have been out. People have been tight-lipped. I mean, there was Hip Hop Game. I'm not believing this. There was Hip Hop Gamer that was out there that was like, look, I want to talk about this. I want to break embargo. I guess he kind of was flexing like the game was awesome or whatever. I have my doubts because the freaking game embargo isn't lifted until less than 24 hours of. We know what that's a tall tale sign of. Whatever. What do you think about Indiana Jones? Where are your, what do you think is going to be the Metacritic of this game?
Metacritic. So, reviews at launch. Games. The game looks fucking boring.
Mm-hmm.
Some media bias mixed into it. I would say 78.
78. God damn, you stole my shit. Yeah, that's where I'm landing at. I'm gonna say 78. I think I think the game is going to be a 78. Cold Blood. I really don't. I mean, I don't see anything here. And we saw that cut. Like, to me, and the thing that said to me that this is not going to be anything blockbuster is the fact that for the showcase, the big Xbox showcase, they didn't necessarily show us new gameplay. They showed us a 6-minute trailer of a cutscene. To me, that's it. That's it. Everything I needed to know about this game. That what it is a, it's like a nostalgic, chef kiss, I guess, to some degree, to Indiana Jones. You get to play some Indiana Jones moments through the eyes of Indiana Jones, and then what you're going to get as well is you're going to get a lot of cutscenes, built into the game. So if you're a big time Indiana Jones fans, which I can imagine that Hip Hop Gamer is, like if that was, because he would have grew up during that era, that's fine. I'm curious though. And I'll do a poll. We'll do a poll just for this segment. I'm curious, how many of you all are nostalgic towards Indiana Jones? So let's do this. How many of you grew up idolizing Indiana Jones? Or did you, or no, not how many. Did you grow up idolizing Indiana Jones? Because I think that's going to be at the core of this game. It's like, if you didn't grow up idolizing Indiana Jones, it's like, okay, I get to do this janky punching. I get to do this janky whipping. There's these 4 or 5 minute cutscenes that are homage to Indiana Jones. But who cares? I mean, as a presentation of Indiana Jones in a game form, it's going to, melt the hearts of Indiana Jones fans. But how many Indiana Jones fans are out there like that? Like, are there enough Indiana Jones fans out there that are buying games that would make this a success? I'm very curious about that. I grew up on Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was huge when I was growing up. So that's why I can get, Hip Hop Gamer, me and him, I believe we're around the same age. I see where he's played it. Like, I have a cousin, he loved Indiana Jones, dude. Loved Indiana Jones. I can see them playing this and like, oh man, this is the shit. But I'm just curious on how many of you feel that way. I think this is like a game that's just an homage to Indiana Jones versus being a great game inspired by Indiana Jones. If that makes sense. Like, the reason why, and it's very clear that Nathan Drake is inspired by Indiana Jones, but the reason why the Uncharted series was as successful as it was is it took that inspiration from Indiana Jones and it developed a game that a lot of people enjoyed because of its game mechanics. I may not be one of them, but a lot of people enjoyed it because of the game mechanics. It didn't hurt that it, fed off the inspiration of Indiana Jones. That didn't hurt at all. But what made Indiana Jones the success that it is the game, not the inspiration. I feel like The Great Circle is trying to purely live off the inspiration. Meanwhile, the gameplay mechanics are janky. And I don't think that I'm being too harsh there. Because I don't think Xbox themselves were or as confident about Indiana Jones gameplay mechanics. Like I said, the last showcase, you got a 6-minute cutscene. They did not show you new gameplay in that demonstration. You know what I'm saying? Like, there may have been a sizzle reel at the end where there was a whip cracked or something, or a punch thrown, but they didn't. I have yet to see a deep dive, and I didn't see one during that Xbox summer showcase of Indiana Jones gameplay, because I don't think the gameplay is deployed. I think it's the nostalgia. But again, how many of you are nostalgic towards Indiana Jones? Let us know in the comment section. Okay. Or let us know in the poll. All right, so here I want to go to the social blade. Let's check out some of these comments. Old Man Gaming says, how do I change the membership though? What you're going to want to do is do not how would you do that? Well, being that Geek gifted me a membership yesterday. Let me see if I can find out. Being that Geek gifted me a membership yesterday. Let's go to the channel, view your channel. Let's go to this video. Join. Whoops. The hell? Join. Okay. You hit join. Just hit the join button. And then like a small box will pop up, and that small box should have the different tiers. The tier that you want, like if you're funding your own, I was about to say, if you're funding your own gift settings, what's that? Allow gifts. You can receive a month membership to channels you interact with. Well, number one, make sure that you're gifting, and this is something I just discovered. Make sure that when you click on join, and at the very top there's 3 buttons, when that small window pops up, hit those 3 buttons and go to gift settings. And make sure that the gift settings are turned on, meaning that allows you to get gifts. I didn't realize that. YouTube. I don't even want to talk about YouTube. Anyway, so you want the foamy homie. The foamy homie is the middle tier at $3.99. It gives you everything that you're going to get as a gifted foamy. And the reason why we created that tier is we didn't want to rob people in order for them if they were paying for their own memberships. YouTube has it set up to where you can't lower a gifted membership. You can't lower it below $4.99. So, if somebody gifts a membership, it's going to be at the $4.99 pay structure. But if you are going to do your own memberships, which will be fantastic, that opens up the gifted memberships for somebody else, then you're going to want the foamy homie tier at $3.99. You're going to get everything that you get as a gifted foamy, just so you're aware. Okay. All right. So that's how you do that. That's how you change your tier. It said I wasn't. Yeah, if you're at the $1.99 tier, then that's what it is. You're going to want to jump to the $3.99 tier. Real Royal. He says Indiana Jones has red flags already. Yeah, I mean, if this game is higher than a 78, I will be shocked. Again, hit that like button, y'all. Let's get to 10 likes. I will be shocked if this game is higher than a 78. That's the
I won't be.
You won't be?
No,
well,
because
yeah.
Like I said, some media buy is gonna be in this.
Yeah.
It might even be so bad like it was with fucking Starfield.
Yeah.
Where it got
at
least 5 to 8 points more than it should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that is right. I'm sitting there talking like these motherfuckers are honest. These are honest brokers and shit. And they're gonna be like, well, you know what? No. And the irony is that, you know, they talk about this Xbox. They were talking about this Xbox tax, which the Xbox community, they're great at making slogans and shit like that. They're not great at playing games, but they're great at making slogans. So there's the Xbox tax, right? Where it's actually, you know, you can look at the evidence to show it's a PlayStation tax. There's no reason why Starfield and Stellar Blade are on the same tier. Like, Stellar Blade has been praised through and through. There are very few instances to where I find people that played Stellar Blade and say, I didn't like that game. Where on the other hand, you know, we know there's a shit ton of people that don't like Starfield. It's a very polarizing game. The worst you've heard about Stellar Blade is from those people that don't follow how things really work. And they want to sit there and set these expectations on Sony. They've been doing it for years. We just showed you guys yesterday, like for at least 2014, people have always said, oh, Sony's in trouble. Sony's in trouble because that game didn't sell 18 million copies. They're in trouble. We went back all the way back to the PlayStation 2, where we showed you the majority of the games, the critically acclaimed games from Sony, the majority of them, they were lucky to see 5 million. It's not about the individual sales. Most of the games funded themselves. They didn't make a wazoo of money, but most of the games funded themselves. But it's okay if they didn't, because 2 out of every 10 exclusives funds everything. Their big Leviathan games, like they dropped their God of War, their Horizon, and then they fund the next 10 games. They make so much money, they fund the next 10 games. Sony has said in 2014, to help curate the next big game, you got to take an exuberant amount of risk. And in order for us to take an exuberant amount of risk that helps deliver us the great next game, we've discovered that the amount of risk that we are having, we got to have a stomach for, is a 60% failure rate. We got to be willing to be okay with 60% of our games, at most, 60% of our games not being successful. Only 40% of our games being financially successful. Well, here's what happens. Out of that 40%, because we're taking risks, we're trying new things, we're trying to be innovative, we're testing out new things, you know, new game plots or whatever. We're investing in companies that are coming up with creative shit. Because we're taking all these risks to find quality games, out of that 40% that actually hit their margins, 20% will be so great that they hit the margins for everybody. Everybody. They'll hit the margins for everybody. Now, I want to show you guys something, or I want to reveal something. So that's the margin. 40% success rate. 20% got to be Leviathan games that are so big they fund everything. That's the hit margin. Let me see here if I can find this list that I made that extenuates this. see. Was this it? I think this was it. My September. Nah, that wasn't it. Okay, we're gonna keep looking. Wasn't my September. I know it was this year. No, let me not try God of War. Let's try Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade. I'm pulling up a lot of old. Now what I'm doing, y'all, is I'm looking through my my notes because I had wrote about. Oh no, let me put Concord. Because people were like, PlayStation is doomed because Concord is bad. Now, Concord being rolled out in the bonehead way that it was, you know, bonehead was actually, but again, when you look at that formula that we've talked about numerous times here, they still hit their hit ratio of games that they needed to be successful within that 60% failure rate margin. They still hit it. Okay, I found it. All right. So, well, this is, hold on, this is part of it. Damn it. I'm getting close. So Concord and Lego Horizon are definitely crappers. How'd I found it? Which one was that? It had to be close to October. This one? Not that one. Give me a second, I'm almost. I got a better catalog this shit. This one, 1030. Because I had a list of the games. Hey, man. So it's not 1030. Wonder what are the ones that I have in October. Can't find it. Son of a chicken plucker. Let's say Jim Ryan. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'll be here forever looking through these notes. I got things cataloged horribly. Or maybe I can do something like this. 2024, 24. That might be it. You son of a chicken plucker. I thought I found it. Okay, anyway, when you look over the last 10 games, they actually did better than a 60% failure rate. They had like a 20% failure rate. You look over the last 10 exclusives, they had like a 20%, or you know what? No, maybe a 30% failure rate. Because, okay, Lego Horizon failed. Concord failed. Then Forspoken failed. Right? And then when you look at the other 7 games that preceded it, those are going to include God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, Forbidden West, which are the two Leviathan games that cover everything else. So the other 5 games that are in between that, they were successful. So they actually cut the risk rate in half. They had a 30% failure rate versus a 60% failure rate. And I had a list of the games and I can't find it because my dumb ass didn't catalog this correctly in my notebook or in my file folder. But anyway, that's the overarching point. Is that Sony said they need they can't, their threshold is a 60% failure rate. So even with these 2 stinkers, which were Concord and Horizon, Lego Horizon, as far as their investments are concerned, the games that they invest in, they can afford a 60% failure rate. They had a 30% failure rate. So all this noise about Sony's in trouble, like let's go back. Let me show you guys. Let's look at the rhetoric versus the reality. I got to pull up the infamous Shuhei article. Let's do it again. Shuhei Yoshida, only 4 out of 10 PlayStation games will make money, but Sony will always support talent. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys this. This is the part right here. This is where I tell you guys, and I know as a former Xbot that I used to run the same gimmick. The same, Sony's in trouble. Oh, this game didn't sell a gazillion copies. They're in trouble. I used to do that all the time. This is not new. Since 2014, people have been running that gimmick. Quote, Sony Entertainment, computer entertainment, has been known to publish quite a few games that haven't exactly been financial breakthroughs, yet they don't seem to be about to give up on that kind of experience, as explained by Worldwide Studios president Shuhei Yoshida during his panel at Game Lab in Barcelona. They've been running PlayStation fan or just non-biased gamer. Understand they're not going to change their ways. How do I know that? Well, even though I've changed my ways, because they're dishonest. I honestly just didn't like PlayStation because I thought at the time that their games are not up to par. I thought Xbox was in a slump and that Xbox would deliver the goods and give us better games. When I realized that wasn't the case, and what was happening at PlayStation is the stuff that I didn't like was actually getting better and better to where I did like it. See, I'm about the games. I'm not about the brand. I'm about the games. And I'm about the gaming experience overall. So because the gaming experience overall was getting better at PlayStation, and then the gaming experience over at Xbox was getting worse under Phil Spencer, it only made sense for me to make my move. So it wasn't me being dishonest. It was me not realizing the effort and stuff that PlayStation was now putting into their games and the fact that they were going to get better. And Jim Ryan knew it himself. He said there was an article that came out where it showed Jim Ryan was talking to Xbox gamers. He didn't say them by name. We talked about this yesterday. Well, Jim Ryan, during the last few years of the PlayStation 4 generation, he said, look, because this was right after Shannon Loftus and Phil Spencer hammering in, it's not about headshots and kills that makes a great game. Sony said, oh my fucking God. They just laid on the landmine. Like we didn't even have to cover it up. As soon as we set the mine, they just laid on it. Chest first. They swan dived on the motherfucker. It's time to blow them to bits. Jim Ryan came out and said, look, we make hardcore games for hardcore gamers. If you are a hardcore gamer, give us a try. Now, what the fuck? At this time, the PlayStation dominance was already etched in stone. Our Lord and Savior, the Xbox One X, womped all over the place, right? The fucking $200 PlayStation Slim, God of War 2018, dog walked and shitted all over anything that came out of the Xbox One X at the time. And the only game that looked better than that on the Xbox, the $500 counterpart, was Red Dead Redemption 2, but by that time it was too fucking late. The damage was done. So Xbox, it was already the loser. People were already packing up, getting ready for next generation. Wait till next generation, right? But Jim Ryan, so Jim Ryan already had the lion's share of AAA console gamers. So when he says, give us a try, who is he talking to? Who is Jim Ryan talking to? Jim Ryan was talking to us. The remaining Xbox gamers that were on the fence, that were like, well, fuck. If Xbox doesn't deliver for us anymore, we're fucked. And he's like, no, you're not fucked. I'm telling you. We've gotten better. We've gotten better to the point to where you guys would even like us. Just give us a try. And quite honestly, from that comment that he made, I believe it was 2019, he made that comment, to now, it's basically just been stubborn Xbox gamers who are still stuck in the perpetual weight of state from Xbox, just giving up and saying, fuck it, we'll give you a try. Every Xbox game, I'm not talking about influencers, I'm not talking about those that, got a following, who want to just game on PlayStation, but they can't because their following is based upon Xbox. So they still got to hate on Xbox. Oh, I bought this PlayStation 5 Pro and it's a waste. But meanwhile, click, they playing that like a motherfucker. They're trying to lean heavily on the 5 games that are PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced that they shouldn't have got stickers on. Do not get me wrong. Bonehead and stupid of Sony allowing them to have the Pro Enhanced sticker. That being said, I counted today, there's 76 Pro Enhanced games. 5 of them have bugs. Is that indicative of the platform or is that indicative of the developers? I mean, it's also indicative of PlayStation not holding these motherfuckers to standard to where they're letting 5 games threaten the perception of their new technology. That's bonehead to me. But again, if we're looking at the facts, that's 6% of the games at the rollout of new technology. It's not a bad margin. And what would make it even more better and feasible is if we didn't even know about those games. Why? Because their Pro Enhanced patches were not even approved yet. Because they got to do better. But again, you got people that are trying to ride the wave of trying to make it seem like, and Digital Foundry's in this boat too. They got Oliver looking down, looking sad like someone stole his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got Alex Bugaga. He, like I said, it's fucking, he got to wear a diaper. He's like excreting all over himself because he's loving this shit. You got Digital Foundry, who have always ate off the console wars, who are making this seem like it is pandemic, because that's what they do. So you got creators feasting off of this because they feast off of this shit versus the actual gamer. I am telling you that the actual gamer who plays the games, who was an Xbox fan, that goes and now plays the PlayStation games, they don't come back. It's only the influencers that talk this dumb shit. The actual gamers, like if you're an Xbox gamer and it's all about gaming to you and you only watch content, you don't create it, so there's not an audience that you have to placate to. Once they go to PlayStation, they don't come back. Have you noticed that? They don't come back. Oh, I got my PlayStation 5 Pro. I love it. There's even some creators that are going against the grain and they're admitting it. Okay, the gig is up. Fuck it. Wasn't making that much money anyway. PlayStation is king. There's so many people admitting that. They're not coming back. I'm one of them. People say, oh, you flip-flopped. What? That's bullshit. Microsoft is not sending me a check. I didn't put my hand on a fucking Bible and you know what I'm saying, and raise my other hand and pledge allegiance to a brand. If anything, the brand pledges allegiance to me. I pledge allegiance to you, MM2K, to provide you quality gaming content the best way that we can, deliver on our promises every time you boot us up from here on. That's the allegiance that you, when I put my money on the fucking counter to buy said product or service, I'm envisioning you pledging allegiance to fucking me. I don't pledge allegiance to no fucking brand. So the whole theory of flip-flopping is some cock-sucking, cockamamie bullshit. I am a consumer. You are delivering for me. Deliver. You'll get my accolades. Don't deliver. You'll get my ire. It works no more in depth than that. So I sit there and I look at gamers, actual gamers, who then like, fuck it. Well, I'm gonna get a PlayStation, and they're not coming back. They don't say, oh man, I made a mistake. I really miss Game Pass. No, they don't. They're like, look, Xbox was an experiment for me, or Xbox was something nostalgic for me. I hung around for this Game Pass experiment thinking that they would do better, and they haven't. So that's why we're at where we're at. And I'm sorry, man. As much as I love machine games, like people hated the young blood or whatever. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a cool, fun co-op, off-brand concept. That was pretty cool. I had fun with it. I didn't look at it as a main game. I just looked at it as, hey, look, this is something they're trying to give us, kind of like, what was that standalone? I mean, that's the standalone Uncharted thing that they did. Even though I don't like Uncharted, I never really played that. But that standalone Uncharted thing, that's the way I looked at Youngblood, Wolfenstein Youngblood. So if you like the Wolfenstein Youngblood gameplay and mechanics, you're getting a little something to hold you over until we come out with the next mainline game. So I enjoyed it. So I like machine game, but this ain't it. This ain't it. And I really feel like they didn't go all out because you got Matt Booty, man. You got Matt Booty, who once they decide that they're not working on quality, listen to what Phil says during the Kind of Funny interview. There's nothing, I mean, he tells on himself. People make it seem like that if all of a sudden we make great games, like, again, he's admitting they don't make great games. Like, if we make great games, then all of a sudden we'll be able to out-console Sony. So he admits, number one, they don't make great games. Number two, it's not on their radar to make great games. It's about budget. Trying to win you over with budget. And a lot of people, when they buy a PlayStation, they're like, okay, well, I tried the Xbox experiment, or I tried waiting around because of the nostalgia. The Game Pass experiment, you know, it was fun while it lasted, but at the end of the day, I'm here for quality. I need great gaming experiences, and just rummaging through the shovelware or the BS that's on Game Pass is not doing it for me. I'd rather have the third-party experience that I'm getting on Xbox along with these stellar titles. I want to celebrate like everybody else. Like everybody else is celebrating because they're having a great time with Final Fantasy Rebirth, Horizon, God of War. I want to be able to have those great experiences too, because that's what gaming is about to me. And they're not turning back. They don't say, oh, I miss. You don't play Marvel Spider-Man 2 Cold Blood and say, I miss Game Pass. In the words of Z, fuck that water. No, nobody does that. Nobody plays Horizon Forbidden West and say, shit. I mean, this was great and all, but man, I missed that Game Pass.
Bro, the few hours I played Concord was the only time I probably said to myself, I missed Game
Wish it was a Game Pass. Oh, God. Yeah. Like, nobody does that. So that's why we don't have any confidence in Indiana Jones being over 78. And 78 isn't the worst game ever. It's just like, when the best you can do is mediocre, and it's like that for the past 10 years, I'm not paying $300, $400, $500 for mediocre. I'm not paying $20 a month for mediocre. What I will do is I will take that $400 or my $700, and I will get quality. And you don't need a PlayStation 5 Pro to get quality. The base model is fine, you know, if you're not like someone like me who's a graphics nut, who's like, look, the opportunity to play Stellar Blade the way that I'm playing it, and I got more game footage that's going to pop up tomorrow. You know, the way that I'm playing Stellar Blade now, like, I love this shit. Like, if you're not a graphics nut like me, then you're fine with you're fine with the base. You're going to get good performance out of the base. I enjoyed Stellar Blade playing it on the base.
Even better on some games, actually.
Yeah.
Than on the Pro.
Yeah.
The developers decided so.
Let's see here. We got, y'all are booming in the comments. Old Man Gaming said, I already renewed my own. Don't remember a level choice, but I'll check again. He says, I used to watch them with my pop, Bruce Lee. Hold on, what you guys talking about? MM, did you pre-order Indiana Jones game? Hell no. I'm going to try it in Game Pass Friday. I get Game Pass, bro. I let my Game Pass lapse. Shout out to Geek to Sneak. Geek, I'm telling on you.
Wait. Did you say it's not worth the $20?
Fuck no. Hell no. No, absolutely not.
But you are playing it for $20, right?
No, I get my Game Pass codes for, I do PC Game Pass. I get my PC Game Pass codes for $6. I find them. Thank you, Geek to Sneak. I don't know.
They're gonna change that, bro. I think they're gonna change that soon to when PC is so much more than the console, bro.
Yeah. This is not going to last forever. They're just trying to suck PC people in. Once they feel like, they've got a shit ton of PC people or PC gamers have hit a wall. Oh yeah, it's going to be $20 here too. But I'll enjoy it while it lasts. But no, there's no way I'm pre-ordering Indiana Jones. Fuck that. I'm not even interested in the game. It just looks boring to me. So I'll try it out. But again, where the opportunity presents itself where I can try something out, I'll get, PC Game Pass. I'll get it again. Because this is what I do. I'll get like the $6 codes and shit. I'll let my service lapse. I won't have Game Pass for months. Right? There's a couple of times I forgot to let it lapse and they got me. They whopped me a little bit. But for the most part, I'll let it lapse until a game comes out that I'm interested in, and then I'll go get one of these $6 PC Game Pass codes, load it up, I finesse the fuck out of it, and play it until I'm done. You know what I mean? He says 78 is too low for Disney IP. Yeah, it will be, but I mean, look, man, here's between like Disney and I think some of these sports makers, they're going to have to, these companies that license out their IP, they're going to have like people in their gaming division that actually know about gaming in depth. Because under no circumstances would I ever, if I'm Disney and I'm expecting a highly ranked game, under no circumstances do I let Xbox make it. Right? I don't let Xbox make it. So either Xbox gave them too much money where they couldn't refuse, or they don't give a fuck, or both. You know what I mean? There's always been a PlayStation tax, classic gaslight. Yeah, I feel like that if a game isn't a Leviathan game, like if it isn't undoubtedly a 95 or above, it gets hacked. It'll get hacked. I love the Indiana Jones movies, the older ones, but didn't idolize them. That's strange. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that love Indiana Jones. So you got to understand, if you were an 80s kid, the Goonies, and it's not idolizing him, it's idolizing the series. You got to remember the Goonies, fucking Karate Kid, Indiana Jones, the Lost Boys, Police Academy. You had to grow up in that era, man. And if you were a nerd, those were the nerd go-tos. Indiana Jones, the Goonies, what else? What I say? The Lost Boys. What else? What else was the nerd go-to? I said another one. I forgot. Yeah, those were the nerd go-tos, dude. So, and you know how nerds are about shit. Yeah, they can get weird about shit. Cosplay and everything. And they did idolize the Indiana Jones series. You had to be around, you had to be amongst nerds to know how easy it was for Indiana Jones to be idolized. Yeah, it should have been third person, says Mary Wilcox. Yeah, I agree. How do we know Lego failed, says El Apache? Because nobody's talking about it. Like Sony ain't said a word, bro. Like Herman Holst just came out and talked about PlayStation games. Herman Holst even talked about Concord again. El Apache. Herman Holst even came out and talked about Concord again. Like this like I believe the shit about him rubbing one off to this game. Oh my God. They could have done it. They made these motherfuckers look like the weather girls. Oh my God. I can't get enough of it. I think he had like a fetish for the weather girls. Waiting man. Hallelujah. He might secretly have a weather girl fetish. Like this dude is still talking about Concord, bro. Like let it go. Let them developers rebound however they can, find new positions, do whatever. Let it go, man. Let's erase this chapter and move forward and do better. He's still talking about Concord. But I tell you what he ain't talking about. He ain't talking about that Lego Horizon. They ain't saying shit. They ain't saying shit. So yeah, it didn't do well. It didn't do well. Yeah, El Apache. I don't think you want to fight for that one, bro. Just let it go. Like Herman, don't, just something you gotta listen to Willie Nelson. Ain't that Willie Nelson? Got no win, hold 'em. No win, fold 'em. Or what was that? The R&B group LTG? Gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. We gotta reserve our energy for the things that are worth the fight. Lego Horizon is not worth the fight. He brought up Concord, bro. He brought up Concord, the game that you had to remove, that you're trying to remove from the history books. And the game that you just released, you're not talking about it. You gotta let it go. Janky Jones will get an overinflated 76 score. I can't argue with that, Andrew Wilkins. It might deserve a 76. I don't see anything about this game, man. I don't know what Hip Hop Gamer was hopping up and down about. I think it was pure nostalgia. Because if you were a nerd kid, growing up, yeah, you idolized the Indiana Jones series. Me particularly, I was never a big fan of Indiana Jones. And I didn't get into Star Wars until I was an adult. Like my cousin he was big into Star Wars. And when episode 1 came out, he was like, dude, I got no one to go to the movies with Star Wars. And I'm like, I'll go. I'm not big into Star Wars. And, episode 1, I was like, episode 1 is kind of trash. Like I never was like into Star Wars. Seen them kind of like in passing, never really cared. And then he tried again. He said, no, let's get, and episode 2 came out. And I'm like, okay, now I can dig this. And then I actually liked episode 2 and episode 3. And that's what got me into Star Wars. No, El Apache. No, here, El Apache, let me. I feel like Mos Def when he was talking about Drake and he was making fun of Drake and he said to the girl, why are you doing this to me? I wish I could find the interview where he's like, so many schools. Like, what are you going to do when it all falls down? I feel like Mos Def right now. Why are you doing this to me? Look, El Apache. I feel like deferring this to Cold Blood. Okay, I'll say this and then Cold Blood, you interrupt me or shut me up whenever if you feel like jumping in on this. We don't say stuff here that we don't know about. Like, if it's a guess, we are very keen on saying, I think possibly there might be a chance, There are times even, and we're so big on that. There are times even where I'm just speaking matter of factly, right? Like, it's to be assumed that I'm just talking generalistically, tongue in cheek. And Cold Blood will swoop in and say, well, hold on. That's not factually true. And I'm like, oh, I was just speaking matter of fact. We don't say definitively anything here. We even cross-reference and cross-check each other live on air about stuff. We know what we're talking about. Like yesterday, I had to school the chat on the fact that Hiroki Totoki is the chairman of SIE. No, he's not. No, he is. I would not say this matter of factly unless he was. We do our research here. Like, in order for me to get ready for this show, there's prep. I do research. Like, I don't just hit the live button. Like, I got to do prep. We do this with every show. Because Cold Blood and I, even when we're not online, we're cross-referencing and shooting shit to each other all day. Posts, articles, we're reading shit all fucking day. So believe you me, we're not going off of just a Twitter post from Charlie Babbitt or some unknown motherfucker. Like, we've researched this. Now, here's what I will concede to your point, El Apache. Did Herman Hulst come out and say Lego Horizon did bad? Absolutely not. He did not say that. But here's what we know. Herman Hulst just spoke less than 24 hours ago about Astrobot. How it was, he loves the critical acclaim. And again, El Apache, are you? Oh no, you're not a member. Because I was going to say, Cold Blood even has a theory about the wordplay he used there, and we talked about that there. He talked about Astrobot, fucking Concord. He talked about a slew of games, nothing about Lego Horizon, the game you just released. About you being happy. You even talked about how you were happy with the stuff that they tried in Concord, even though that wasn't successful. Nothing about Lego Horizon. We are seeing reports out there, as BV has indicated. Not reports from Charlie Babbitt and them, Bebop and them on Twitter. Reports that Lego Horizon is not doing well. You have that in combination with the Steam numbers. And when you put all that together, I think it's fair to surmise Lego Horizon is not doing good. He talked about Concord. And what is the chat telling you, El Apache? That Concord did better than Lego Horizon. So if he can talk about Concord, and all the reports and all the numbers that we can see show that even Concord did better than Lego Horizon. Like, I'm not looking at any data. I look at tracking. There's nothing that I can see that shows that Lego Horizon, even on PlayStation, fuck PC, on PlayStation is doing better than Concord. I'm sorry. There's nothing out there. There's no data that shows that. Any data that's available, whether it's a guesstimate, whatever, or formulaic, whatever, shows that Horizon is doing worse than Concord. So I think it's fair to surmise when your CEO of SIE won't even talk about it, but he'll bring up Concord, the game that he removed from stores. Lego Horizon didn't do well. Now, if reports come out empirically showing otherwise, and or more importantly, PlayStation comes out and says, no, Lego Horizon did fantastic, I'll take back what we said. Not a problem. But I think it's fair to say, El Apache, it didn't do well. There are 1,000 other fights out here, my good brother. There are 1,000 of them. This is not one. I would give this one up. I would leave it alone. I would leave it alone. Mary Wilcox says, you guys do your research. Major comments. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. PlayStation Sweden in the house is, hey, MM2K Gaming News. So again, El Apache again. I understand. Again, to your point, Sony hasn't come out and said, oh, this, but why would they do that? Like, unless they're pressed, you're not going to hear them say that. And again, because Lego Horizon isn't a games as a service title, meaning they got to put thousands into servers in order for it to do better, in order to maintain it, they're not going to shut it down, but all available data along with the attitude and the dismissiveness about even talking about it from Sony. Like Sony immediately when Astrobot, they came out and they talked about Astrobot. They're not talking about Lego Horizon. Michael Moreno says, I guess Alex forgot about the rollout of DLSS in 2019. Yeah, we Michael, here's what I will say. When it comes to top 1% gaming with PC and what it's capable of, I don't listen to that crowd. I listen to my brother. Why do I listen to my brother? Because he's my brother? No. I listen to my brother because he has top 1% shit. I'm talking about cold blood. Why would I listen to someone tell me the benefits of something they don't fucking have? When you look at that crowd, Michael, most of them don't have the high components. They don't have the high power rigs. They make up excuses. Well, it shouldn't cost as much. Whatever. Gaming isn't a cheap sport. You want to get into it, you got to get into it. It's like taking vegan recipes from someone who eats pork all day. I mean, I would never do it. Yeah, I would never do it. I would never do it. You got to be careful from that crew. That's why they even a high-powered PC owner is not punching down to a console gamer. They're not. They're not punching down to consoles. If anything, because they want the best of the best and they just want to play games, they're going to have a high-powered PC and the best console they can have too, because they got the money to do it. It's apparent in them paying $11 billion for a PC. The majority of their games they'll play on PC, but the games that they can play on PC, they'll play on whatever they feel is the best console. So I don't listen to that crowd. He said the tax though. He said Police Academy movies were too funny. Man, yeah. Booker and all them, and yeah. Like, when you grew up in that era, and if you were a nerd, you would understand why all that shit was idolized. Fucking Lost Boy, man. I can go through a multitude of things that, you know, were just part of nerd culture back then. And nerd culture, even though it was widespread and there were a lot of people in it, it was very niche as well too. So all right. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about let me see here. So Shawn Layden, let me see if I can find if he did a audio interview. Shawn Layden interview. Shawn Layden interview. Layden. Okay. Let me see. On Layden interview, I want to say, can I filter this week? So no. So there's not an audio interview. So let me go and see, which is stupid. Shawn Layden interview. Shawn Layden interview. So, oh. You saw, let me see. So they don't have a video of this? Okay. There's no video of this. Okay. So Shawn Layden did an interview with Eurogamer. Because I guess they can't find actual PlayStation people that'll sit down with them and shit. They're probably mad at Digital Foundry. That's why they're not fucking with Eurogamer at the moment. But hey, you know, PlayStation, you only have yourself to blame by giving them so much credence. Like, you know, as much as I like Oliver should not be doing the main deep dive that is captivating gamers about your console. It should be you, but that's here nor there. This is the big PlayStation 30th anniversary interview with Shawn Layden. It was a fight to get the Sony name on the machine. They didn't want it to be there. We all make this stuff up as we go along together. And they talk about, you know, Eurogamer's week-long coverage of the PlayStation 30th anniversary begins today. Very special interview. And they talk to Shawn Layden. So they ask him some questions. They say, what's your first memory of PlayStation? You were already working at Sony at the time. What was your reaction to it? What was the idea? And he says, when PlayStation launched, I was still with corporate back at Sony headquarters. Where this motherfucker began at 87. God damn. I was attached to the office of the chairman, Akio Murata, the founder of Sony. I was his assistant, speechwriter, ghostwriter, interlocutor when I had to be. And we were watching all that from afar, so to speak. But I remember having a presentation early on where they brought the PlayStation prototype to the chairman's office and we got to see what they were building. I remember back in mid-94, before the launch, standing up in a boardroom playing Ridge Racer and going, oh my God, this is going to be fucking amazing. It says, you moved over to PlayStation division specifically pretty soon after. So let's see here. There's, we moved, let me see here. There was a particular, they're talking about the early PlayStation stuff. But there was something that was said about that Shawn Layden said, what is it like being part of the early concern? This is a lot of early shit. I want to see. Okay, no, this ain't it. This interview is poop. I don't want this one. I want where Shawn Layden. Let me see. Shawn. Oh no, I bookmarked it. Duh. All right, here it goes right here. Sorry about that, folks. We had to deal with this unnecessarily. So former president and CEO Interactive Entertainment, PlayStation, Shawn Layden on PlayStation Studios games on Xbox. He says, I don't know what business imperative would be to do that. PlayStation has been the leader for almost every generation it has been in. You talk about being Xbox 360 being a huge competitor with PlayStation 3. For a while, they got out the gate sooner. They grew a large market. But in the end, PlayStation fought to a tie in America and the UK. With Xbox 360, we look at a global footprint, and PlayStation is far and away the global leader. Because it is the leading platform in 170 countries around the world, Microsoft never had that kind of global reach, so they could never build a global market to the scale of PlayStation does. So the question you're asking is, should PlayStation, with that huge market lead and momentum apparently going forward, should they build versions of their games to run on a competing platform of much smaller size and scale? How many additional sales would that get versus the brand impact, all the aggro? You know the Sony fan base gets really upset whenever a game comes out on PC 8 months after original release on PlayStation. I never understood that aggro, but you know, it's there. And if that's what they are going to say about a PC release, just imagine what the market would say about Xbox releases from PlayStation Studios. I don't think so. I mean, what would the leap look like? It would be perfectly leased human actors in a game that you would completely control. That could happen one day. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. We're at a point now where the innovation curve on the hardware is still to plateau or top out. At the same time, the commoditization of the silicon means that when you open up an Xbox or PlayStation, it's pretty much the same chipset. It's built off AMD. Each company has their own operating system, but in essence, it's the same. I think we're pretty much close to the final spec for a console. So basically what he's saying is that even though PlayStation and Xbox consoles are the same in a lot of ways, the brand is relying upon the games that they make, and it's sticking to their hardware. I mean, yes, there is this move to put stuff on PC, but there's an quote unquote aggro, or what we call in our business field, reputational risk, that they feel like they can deal with by putting games on PC. You know what I mean? But that's totally different from putting games on Xbox. Look at it. This Horizon Lego game that, even though we said, you know, we're sitting there poking holes at it, it's not coming to Xbox. It's essentially a third-party game. Third-party Horizon game. You know what's another third-party Horizon game? This Exits to Mortrium, right? Or whatever the fuck it's called. We can't even call it a ripoff, but the Horizon clone, because a ripoff would be, I took something from you, you know what I'm saying, to where they clearly didn't take this from PlayStation. PlayStation gave it its blessing and allowed it. And they allowed it because Hiroki Totoki is all for there being, and Cold Blood pointed this out, like a live service Horizon game. This is what this is. It's just not, it just has a different name. A live service Horizon game that's dropping day and date on PlayStation and PC. And possibly Xbox at some point in time, but it's not coming to Xbox right now. There's a reason for that. If the game is big enough, it might drop on the Switch too. That could be another reason why it's given another name. So my thing is that, yeah, PlayStation, here's what's going on. Microsoft has to live, they're both they're both trying to consume off each other. But the way that they're both trying to consume is totally different. PlayStation is trying to Xbox is trying to consume off of PlayStation by selling games on PlayStation, by being synonymous with the ecosystem and opening their doors to the PlayStation ecosystem and selling games there and, saving their division, right? With PlayStation, it's a little different. PlayStation is trying to take people from Xbox. So when you see this growth, it's Xbox people coming over. It's Xbox people saying, the gig is up. The thing that brought me to Xbox, whether it was brought me to Xbox and this is where I've been since day one, or I left PlayStation originally to come over here, but now I'm realizing the gig is up. We're going to PlayStation. So PlayStation is actually trying to eat up Xbox by just slowly but surely siphoning off the last batch of stubborn gamers, to where Xbox is trying to eat with PlayStation. So you got two totally different. So Shawn Layden is totally aware of how PlayStation views Xbox versus Xbox viewing PlayStation. And they're like, you can sell your games here, but when it comes to platform and game store, we're picking off your customers. So yeah, these people the broomsticks that are disillusioned, who think that PlayStation success is about them selling their third parties. Derek Strickland from Tweaktown, which I haven't seen him in a while. I wonder where he went. Is he, I hope Derek isn't hurt, or I hope everything is all right with Derek. But anyway, he even put an article out there letting you Xbox know that most of PlayStation's money comes from the sales off of its marketplace. But y'all don't want to listen. Y'all look at Stellar Blade and y'all look at Astrobot and you say, oh, only 1 million, only 2 million. Oh, that's not great. Not understanding that as long as they're not in the red, for one, and for two, as long as they pull people over to help pull people to the ecosystem and say, you guys got this collective of games versus their collective of games, your collective looks better. I'm going over here. Sony won. They don't need these games individually to sell $5 million or 5 million copies. They don't need them all to do that. So, yeah, it's just, again, but you got to remember, like I said, these content creators are disingenuous. They want, if they knew that tomorrow they could convince their listeners over to PlayStation and to appreciate PlayStation, they would sell their Xboxes and they would go to PlayStation tomorrow. But they can't do it because a lot of their listeners just simply hate PlayStation. They grew up that way, or they were groomed by themselves to hate PlayStation. So it would never work. So if they abandon Xbox, like Colt Eastwood has tried and he's talked about it. He's been in places and other podcasts talking about the frustration of trying to just talk games and just come down the middle, and it's not going to work because of the clientele that they built. Now, I will say this. You have a lot of people that laugh at what Cold Blood and I have done over here and tried to make comments about what we've done over here. You guys aren't doing this and that, whatever. That's because we refuse to just brown nose and lick the scrotes of a brand just to get a bunch of haters or fanboys. You got to have an appreciation for great games. If you have an appreciation for great games, wherever that takes you, that's just where we're going to go. You don't invest into things like flip-flop. It's just dumb. It renders you useless as a consumer and turns you into a nut sniffer. turns you into a nut rag. Anyway, we're not nut rags over here. We're gamers that are focused on high quality games. Unfortunately, the majority of the listening public, they're either fanboys or haters. So those of you that are out here listening to our content regularly or showing support or whatever, you are of a rare breed. Pat yourselves on the back. Even though you may not agree with us a lot when we're down in your face, you're actually willing to digest what we're saying because you know we're being authentic to our actual beliefs and we're coming down the middle. And you know deep down inside, whether you like hearing us say it or not, it's true. But most people are not like you. And be proud of the fact that you're not sheep. That at the end of the day, even though you may argue with us, you know that we got our finger on the pulse of quality gaming and you want to pay attention to what we share here because it's going to point you closer to quality gaming. Can't get that everywhere. So most of these creators are dishonest. They're not about that. They're trying to fleece you because they're trying to plague on your artificial hate or your fanboyism for a product or a service. And that's not what we do here. But pat yourselves on the back because you simply have not fallen for it. All right. With that said, we're going to get out of here. How did Revenge of the Nerds not get mentioned? Yeah, I did. I mentioned it real royal. That's why I said that's one of the first things I mentioned was Revenge of the Nerds. That's one of the first things I mentioned. All right, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody. We will see you guys likely tomorrow. Maybe there'll be a showcase tomorrow, Cold Blood. I don't know. But until next time, y'all have a wonderful gaming day. Peace. Oh, we're going to end the poll. Let's before I get out of here, let's end the poll. The poll says, did you grow up idolizing Indiana Jones? 63% said no. 36% of you said yes. Yeah, I just think that I think this is a game that plagues on nostalgia. I just don't know. I have my doubts. I think it's going to land around the 78, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Till next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.